Hey, it's a great day. I'm Mike Current, Energizer, and in this video, I'm going to talk about why zero drop shoes might not be the right shoe for through hiking. So let's do this. So it's been about a month since I put out my announcement video. And I think I'll be putting out a video about every week from now until my start date on 1 May. So I'm down in Southern California with my wife. We've been spending 2 or 3 months out of the winter for the last few years down in Southern California. Why? Well, shovel snow out of the driveway, sit on a beach. You know, pretty easy to do. And we're traveling right now in our RV. So when I say sit on a beach, yeah, I mean that literally. Ever since the mid-1990s, when Ray Jardine, the father of ultralight backpacking, when he advocated that thru hikers should hike in running shoes versus boots, the community has slowly been going towards that way to now pretty much everybody hikes in trail runners. Boots are pretty much a thing of the past, and for good reason. But trail runners are a running shoe just designed for the trail. And one can argue, rightly so, that thru hiker shoes are the most important piece of equipment that they have on their trip. They really are. And so it behooves us as thru hikers to know a little bit how that shoe is made. Now, there are 2 types of running shoes in the running community. There is the drop shoe and the zero drop shoe. The drop shoe has a drop in height between where the heel is and the forefoot. For this one, this is a Hoka Clifton. It's a 5mm drop from the heel to the toe, about 1/5 of an inch. Same thing with the Speed Goats, the trail running kind of version of the Cliftons, about a 5mm. But if you have Sauconys or Brooks, you can go up to an 8mm drop to have that wedge kind of feel. Now you compare that to the drop shoe, and a drop shoe has no difference in height between the heel and the forefoot. Essentially a flat shoe all along the bottom. And don't confuse drop or zero drop with stack. Stack is the height of the shoe, the height of the cushioning that is on the bottom of the shoe. Now, there are many variables in shoes as well. I didn't go into those, but essentially there are the 2 types, the drop and the zero drop shoe in running. So why the 2 types of shoes? Well, you have to understand there are 6 camps in the running community that help govern how shoes are designed. The first 2 camps are, do you believe man evolved as a walking animal, or did he evolve as a running animal? Now the walking people believe that man evolved to be a walking animal. That doesn't mean he can't run. He would run short distances, but he was a migratory creature. He would migrate, he would walk great distances. The other camp is the running camp. They believe man actually evolved. That's his niche. In his evolutionary niche was he is a running creature. Now we're not talking cheetah fast, but a good pace within mid to long range distances, and that was the advantage over the Neanderthal man or other primates. And there are scientists that are adamant on both sides of these camps, and they point to evidence of why either man is a walking man or he is a running man. Now the second two camps are, what is the correct way to run? Now there are those that believe that a person leans slightly forward. They go slightly forward when they run. They kind of pick up that forward momentum. So they lean slightly forward when they run. There's a camp that believes that. And then there's another camp that believes, no, what you need to do is you need to maintain that 90-degree angle. If you look at a person when they walk, and how we've evolved is, if you look, there's a 90-degree angle between the back, the butt, the legs, and the ankle. At the ankle, it's 90 degrees right there. And so the other camp, the straight camp, believes that you maintain that. Even though you're going from walking to running, you maintain that 90-degree angle along the back, along the legs, and along the feet. Now the third two camps that you have to get behind is whether you teach a person how to run, the proper way of running, and then you buy a shoe that matches the proper running. So that's the one camp. And then the other camp believes that, well, you can teach people how to run and run more efficiently, but in reality, we all kind of have our own way of running, our own inefficiencies. And so what you do is you buy a shoe that helps accommodate for those inefficiencies to make you a better runner. Now look, if you're a runner, you can what about this video up to this point to death. And I know that. I have left out a lot about running and a lot about on how shoes are designed beyond the two types of shoes. I know that. The reason I bring all that information up is because thru-hikers do use running shoes, but everything I've talked about up to this point, it doesn't matter for the thru-hiker, because the big difference between a thru-hiker and a runner is the backpack. Once a thru-hiker puts on a backpack, he no longer has the properties, and all the theories behind a running shoe go completely out the window. Now I know this is a day pack, it's not a thru-hiker pack. My training rucksack weighs 40 pounds or over 40 pounds, so I'm not going to throw it up here on the table, but this represents the thru-hiker's pack. And essentially what a pack does is it shifts the body's center of gravity backwards. This is simple high school physics, right? You go back to high school physics, you add weight to the back, and it's going to shift that body weight back. And if you don't lead forward, if you maintain that 90 degrees, you're going to fall on your bottom. It's just going to happen. High school physics. So what happens is a thru-hiker naturally leans forward. Even if he doesn't realize it, imperceptibly, he leans slightly forward, and so he can compensate for that extra weight on his back. And what he does is he reduces that 90-degree angle. Remember, you have a 90-degree angle between your ankle and your legs and your back, and he leans forward and he reduces that 90-degree angle, that natural 90-degree angle. Now, because drop shoes extend that angle, they bring the ankle down, they bring the forefoot down. What they do is they help compensate for that natural leaning forward if you have a rucksack on. Now we talked about my shoes, the Cliftons or the Speed Goats, 5 millimeters, 1/5 of an inch. Doesn't seem that much, but go back to your high school physics, or actually geometry. Go back to your high school geometry. If you extend that out at my shoulders, I can lean forward an inch and a half forward, and still maintain that ergonomically correct 90 degrees where my ankles, my legs meet my ankles. Now, zero drop shoes don't allow for that compensation because they're flat at the heel and flat at the forefoot. When you lean forward to compensate for that extra weight in the backpack, that shortened angle between the legs and the foot, That's always short. That's always shortened. Now, I know some of you are going to say, hey, Mike, you know, look, we're on a trail, right? Trail goes up, it goes down, your feet are sideways, they're like this, you're going over rocks, that sort of thing. And that is true. But all of that zeroes out because you're going to go up the hill, you're going to go down the hill, all that zeroes out. But on a zero drop shoe, you're going to have, above all that, that natural shortened angle for every single step. Hey, look, I know there's a very popular shoe out there among thru hikers, very popular zero drop shoe that people like to hike in. This video is not designed to drop a dime on any particular shoe that's out there that thru hikers like to hike in. But what I would suggest is if you decide to hike in a zero drop shoe, what I would recommend is the first thing is you train in that shoe. You actually go out and train in that shoe. And I'm not saying just walk around on a day hike and that sort of thing. Put weight in a rucksack so you're leaning forward, you're shortening that angle, and walk around and put some miles on that zero drop shoe and see how that feels. And the next thing I would recommend is if you take that shoe to the trail and you're hiking in that shoe, then if at some point, look, if the shoe's great for you and you're feeling good, stay with the shoe. Stay with the shoe. But if you get a few hundred miles down the trail and you start suffering from Achilles tendonitis or plantar fasciitis or shin splints, all of which can be an indication that that natural 90-degree angle is being shortened, and that is causing extra stress along the heel, along the bottom of the foot, and it's causing the shin splints to be flexed all the time. If you're suffering from any of those, you might want to think about not so much changing the make or model, but think about whether you should go with a drop shoe as compared to a zero drop shoe. Well, that's it for this video. I'm still getting ready for my hike. I'm still training, even though I'm on vacation, you know, down here in Southern California. I'm still training and having, you know, a good time. See you next time.